Good morning, everyone. Time is 8:33, and I call this meeting to order. I just want to take a brief moment and thank my fellow directors for being here this morning. Summer is a busy time for most of us, lots of demands on our schedule, so thank you all for being here, and we'll get going. So our first item is excused absences. I don't believe we have any, do we? Oh, Kaylee, all right. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Support.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, any conflicts of interest here with agenda items? All right. Okay, any public comment on any of the agenda items this morning? All right. Okay, our next item is approval of the meeting minutes from our May 28th, 2025 meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Support.
Any edits or changes? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next item are the financial statements for fiscal year 2026, our BRA budget adoption. Can I have a motion, please?
Support.
Do we have a presentation on this one?
We do not. This is just building off of the presentation from I think it was 2 months ago, but yes, it was 2 months ago. It was adopted since then by commission, and so now we're back here.
Okay. All right. Any further questions or comments on that? All right, then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving to our action items. The first is a resolution approving and recommending a Brownfield plan amendment and conditionally approving a local Brownfield revolving loan fund agreement for the Pleasant Hills project at 539 New Avenue Southwest. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Support.
On it. Thank you. Okay, Mackenzie.
All right, good morning, everyone. So the first item on our agenda, as Board Member Edwards had mentioned, is related to the third phase of the Pleasant Hills development project. So we're really excited to bring back this particular piece of it. As you guys might remember and recall, the first two phases were brought in front of the Brownfield board in late 2024. So we're excited to see this next phase of this particular project come to fruition. So today we're recommending approval of an Act 381 Brownfield plan amendment and LBRF grant. So just a little bit of background on this particular portion of the project. The plan is to demo the existing storage building that you can see on the slide here that is utilized by Habitat for Humanity, and ultimately constructing a new 5-story multi-family building with 27 for sale units. So this is in the Roosevelt Park neighborhood. The Habitat has had continuous conversations and sessions with the neighborhood, so they're very aware of the project and understanding and excited about it. Did want to kind of do a little bit of a breakout of these particular units. So 16 of those units are out of the 27 are going to be priced for households that are earning at or below 80% of Kent County area median income, and 11 of those households for below 120% of Kent County area median income. 9 of those 27 units are going to be 2 bedrooms that average about 983 square feet, and 18 of those will be 3-bedroom units that are averaging about 1,281 square feet. So excited to see also a little bit of shift in some of the unit count sizes in this project. So those 2s and 3s are going to be great. Total project cost for this one is about $10.5 million, and then 8.9 of those being hard construction costs. We have some really great goals as well for the inclusion inclusion plan portion of this project. So as you can see, we're doing about 30% or about 2.6 million of the 8.9 construction costs. So 5% MLBE, 2% WBE, and 23% MBE. So we're really excited to see that. And then in addition to that, the development team has approximately 1.1 million in professional service costs that are as well going to be coming from MBEs too. So very, very excited about that. So this particular request is for Brownfield Housing TIF, which is going to be about 2.6 million in eligible activity costs, which again kind of highlights that 25 years of affordability for those 16 units that I mentioned in the presentation previously for those income qualified units. So for the length of the Brownfield plan, they will be those affordable income qualified units. And so ultimately the potential development loss for this is going to be valued at 1.6 million or approximately $60,388 per unit. So really, really excited to see this request come through. And then in addition to that, the development team has requested a LBRF grant in the amount of $250,000 to really kind of help with that down payment assistance for those 16 units so that those individuals that are making less than or at 80% of area median income can afford those units. So construction start is anticipated in March of 26 with anticipated completion in June of 2027. So that is a rough overview of the project and our request before you. I do have Andrew Clougherty from Habitat for Humanity that is here as well, alongside Jessica Solis from SME, who's been assisting this project as well to help answer any questions that you all might have.
Morning, everyone. It's great to be back here to talk about this phase of the project. Like Mackenzie mentioned, this is what we're calling phase 3 of a 3-site project that we're doing in the Roosevelt Park neighborhood. So we were here about a year ago for phase 1 and 2, which is actively under construction. So we have 7 of the 27 townhomes that we're building as part of that project that are close to being done in framing, and we'll start the other side of that project with 20 units either early next spring or summer. We are really excited about this project. This feels really innovative for Habitat Kent and for Grand Rapids to provide this type of housing product in a for sale, affordable way. And so we are really appreciative of you all and your support of this project. We do put a deed restriction on every unit that we sell to maintain affordability for up to 90 years. So that'll be maintained on all of these units in the agreement that they sign when they purchase the unit. And we've been really excited about the inclusion goals that we have on this. So R&R has been working with Orion in a joint venture on the whole design build process with a very intentional focus on outreach to minority contractors. And we've had a lot of involvement already in the design phase from many of the contractors that we hope to use on the project.
Any discussion or questions for the applicant?
I do. Yeah, thank you for offering this innovative product for Habitat. I know you're typically doing single-family detached homes, and then you did a few of the duplexes and townhomes over in Roosevelt Park. With this one being kind of the more of a multifamily typology, but with single-family sale units, I guess, multifamily sale units, I'm curious how they're arranged in the building, and then also what you anticipate like assessments being, because I would imagine that there's going to be some type of association that has to be created to maintain all of the common elements here, and how you see that working and how that factors into the affordability.
Yeah, so floor plan wise, we have 3 units that are facing Oakland, and then there's a 20-foot grade up to New, which is the other side. And so from floor 2 through 5 is 6 units per floor. So there's a two bedrooms and 4 3-bedrooms on each floor as you climb up. I think assessments is going to be really interesting on these because just there's not a lot of comparables in the market, and so we're going to have to be really diligent on how we work with that. But there will be condo associations structured to do all of the long-term maintenance that an owner would do in a rental product, and help kind of maintain the affordability of those units long-term.
How's the communication or ongoing communication going with the neighborhood? I mean, you've been at this for a while, but, you know, how's the ongoing engagement for this project?
It is ongoing.
Yeah.
We went to the neighborhood a couple years ago with like the whole project overall, and so it's a constant communication flow of, hey, this is coming back. So we've been really in touch with the neighborhood association in Roosevelt Park. We have really strong relationships with the local schools there and some of the other businesses, and just kind of keeping the homeownership opportunities really front of mind for people in the community. And that's kind of been our big focus, is how do we get people from Roosevelt Park to purchase these homes and in these homes as we build 54 units over the next 3 years.
Okay. Any other discussion and questions? Well, thank you. This is a great project. Appreciate your continued focus on this. Okay, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the Brownfield Plan for 280 Ann LLC redevelopment project at 280 Ann Street Northwest. Can I have a motion, please?
Support.
Okay, Mackenzie.
All right. Hello again. So we are looking to just discuss a First Amendment to an existing Brownfield plan for 280 Ann Street Northwest. So this original Brownfield plan was approved back in 2022. The plan was approved to support construction of a new 4-story, 26,000 square foot mixed-use addition to the existing office building that's located at 280 Ann, which is in downtown Grand Rapids. And so the project included, and still does include, 44 residential units consisting of a mixed-use and consisting of a mix of studio and 1-bedroom units with ground floor retail space of approximately 500 square feet. And so total eligible activities that were approved previously for this plan were roughly $701,000 at the BRA meeting back in November, on November 15th of 2022. So this First Amendment in particular is requesting addition of housing eligible activities for potential rent loss on this site. So as you can see here, about 4.2 million total in eligible activity costs, which also include, as listed below, department-specific activities, demolition, lead and asbestos abatement, infrastructure improvements, with the addition of the housing development activities for potential rent loss. And I'd be more than happy to answer questions on this one. I do have Jared Belka from Warner Norcross and Judd alongside Jack Hodeman from the development team to really kind of flesh out this request and, you know, answer any questions that you all might have.
Morning, everyone. Good to see everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to be here this morning. Give you a brief overview because I'm sure the question is asking, why didn't the project move forward with the original approval? So we'll come out and tackle that right off the bat. So the development team was approved and they began some site work on the site, ran into some geotechnical issues that were unanticipated. In addition to some access issues with the adjoining property owner. So the project was put on pause, and actually the developer was in negotiations with the property owner at the time, and they've since acquired the adjacent hotel property. And they have a grander vision for redevelopment of that entire riverfront site. We're not here for all phases yet. We hope to be back before you with the additional plans for both the hotel property and riverfront area. But today, in order to address some of those additional costs, the passage of the housing TIF, providing long-term attainability here for these units, and obviously interest rates and costs were different back in 2022. It sounds like just yesterday, but unfortunately, it was a long time ago. So we dusted off the project. We've proposed a revised scope. We've added in those additional costs and would like to utilize the housing TIF program to provide long-term attainability for those units. We're targeting 85%, 95% for the duration of the requested TIF reimbursement. So this is an amendment, so we are looking from the 2022. So the duration of the plan is obviously longer, but there have been periods of zero capture up to this point. So happy to answer any questions, happy to talk about kind of the grander vision, and Jack can speak to that if you'd like for that entire area. But today we're kind of here for that phase one. So again, happy to answer any questions and appreciate your consideration.
I just want to take a minute and say thank you for taking your time to consider this amendment. I also wanted to add that this is one of the few waterfront properties that are under development that's going to be at 80% of AMI. There's also a more than 1 acre green space that we're preserving for the use of these tenants. So I think that this is a great opportunity to have those waterfront properties available to people, and it's not, you don't have to be 150% of AMI or 200% of AMI to ultra luxury. We're trying to deliver a product that's really meeting the demand of the marketplace, and that everybody should be able to live on the river. So, of course, if you have any questions, I'm here.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, sure, yeah. Thank you for the presentation, both of you. I'm just curious about the grand vision in the next phase and what you envision there.
Certainly. So we're in conversations with a couple of different people about converting that hotel tower. It's currently 162 hotel rooms, and it can be converted into 139 one-bedroom and studio apartments. So we've worked with Create 3 Architecture to kind of vet those plans out as to what would be needed. So kind of phase one would be to convert that tower into 139 apartments. And then the next phase after that would be to knock down the banquet facility. And then there's enough space there to build another 4-story, roughly 60 units that would be on the water as well. So we're vetting out all of the different site plans. And then obviously because the property connects with Ann Street, and the Riverwalk, and do we want to incorporate something on a Riverwalk to provide public access to that green space, and how do we best activate that waterfront as well as folding in this entire campus. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Can we assume that you've worked out your property issues with your neighbor, your access issues?
Yes, because we now control both of the parcels. And so what we're instituting is a commercial site condo. So each building will be its own condominium. And so you can have separate ownership and financing on each of the buildings. And the common elements then become the green space, the parking, the patio. And so it will permanently eliminate any issue with anybody having access to the parking, where like you're overburdening my easement. And so the association documents will outline that the parking's meant to be used for everybody.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With the city's goal for the River for All, I'm curious what sort of public access you're providing along the riverfront
So we're
on this site.
absolutely. So we've reached out to the city and we're wanting to engage with them on that. We've discussed what is the overlay, what is their vision of what they want. Nobody's at this point been able to provide a definitive answer as to what their vision is for that side of the river. So that is to be determined. Obviously, right now on the Monroe side, they're in the process of constructing a river walk. But we're definitely open and working with the city as to what their vision is for for that side of, our side of the river.
And I'll just add, Jack's welcomed them many times saying, hey, come build it over here too. So that is very important to them. They would love to see activation for something. I've heard many people say they'd love to run all the way around too.
Sure.
So
Well, yeah, it would seem like with the connection that we have on the east side, as well as the new location for the city's municipal facilities, right, is just south of there. That, foregoing some of our tax increment, in exchange for the, continued implementation of the River for All plan would make a lot of sense.
We're very open to that. I also pointed out to the city that there is a paved and striped parking lot. There was a former rest stop. There's no curb cut anymore, but it is paved and striped, and there is a river walk north of the 270 Ann Street. Seemed very natural to me if they reactivated that parking lot and then, built the trail on our side of the river going south, like there's extra parking, and we could utilize those trails even more. So we're definitely open to working with the city to do that.
Does the city use that access road to get back into that adjacent parcel to the south, or is there another means to access that?
There is another, because that's,
Across the tracks, I think.
there's Indian Mill Creek is on
Yeah.
one side, and then the Grand River. So it's the 270, 280 parcel is kind of its own island. So the site that the city controls to the south, they get to through Turner on the other side of
Gotcha.
the river there, or not the Indian Mill Creek.
So, yeah, so at this point, you've got control of access for both parcels?
Yes,
and-
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sarah, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to connect with the authority from the city, about this piece, just to make sure that, we can make this, accessible to the rest of the community, as we are working on supporting the project, so maybe if you as a director of economic development can engage with whatever authority,
Yeah.
it's needed,
Yes.
to bring these conversations forward, Jack, if you are
Fantastic.
open, and willing, to really offer this to the community, let's make it happen.
Certainly.
Yeah. I think there's
I'm happy to follow up.
great opportunity here.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jack, do you foresee any other barriers in the next, in the near future, or when is this project, planning to start?
So we're looking like August or September.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Any pieces that you see that could be barriers for you in the near future that prevent, or delay more?
Not that I'm seeing, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next action item is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the local Brownfield revolving fund grant agreement for Well House LDHA LLC for the project to be located at 32 Pleasant Southeast. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead, didn't I? I guess we'll rescind that. Okay. Action item 3, my apologies. A resolution approving a work plan and execution of a development and reimbursement agreement for the M Village redevelopment at 1865 Eastern Avenue Southeast and 716 Elliott Street Southeast. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay.
All righty. Hello again. This is a really exciting portion of this process, right? This is really the final local approval piece for this particular project. As you guys have been familiar with, it's been brought forth before you alongside City Commission as well. But it's the M Village Development Project. And on the slide and in the packet too, we have just kind of the overview of the entirety of this project. But the first phase of this is construction of 10 duplexes or 20 units total that are going to be available for sale. So we're really excited about this. Energy Star 75 plus certified, about $7.8 million in total project costs, and they're anticipating construction later this summer, and then completing that in about a year from now. So summer of 2026 is anticipated. And then the second phase of that project would begin later, and then that is expected to do another multifamily structure with up to 51 units. So a lot of new units come into this neighborhood. I think the one thing that I did want to bring forward to this group is that the Southtown Corridor Improvement Authority at their meeting on June 11th did approve the draft interlocal agreement between the BRA and the CIA to forego 100% of their tax increment revenue for this project, which is just shy of $50,000 a year for the 25-year period of this particular Brownfield plan. So they are very excited about the project. They're very excited about being able to support it in this capacity. And ultimately, before you is a request to approve the Act 381 work plan and provide us the opportunity to execute a development and reimbursement agreement, and then ultimately send this off to the Michigan State Housing Development Authority for their review and hopeful approval.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Any questions or discussions on this one? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now on to action item 4. A resolution approving a First Amendment to the local Brownfield Revolving Fund Grant Agreement for Wellhouse LDHA LLC for the project to be located at 32 Pleasant Southeast. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Support.
All right.
Alrighty. So this particular project was brought before the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority back in March, I believe March 27th of 2024. And ultimately, you all approved a grant for $150,000 for housing development activities for this project. So Wellhouse is the development team on this particular project, and these dollars were to go towards housing development activities that for 3 multifamily buildings that are located at 32 and 34 Pleasant Street Southeast, 512 Highland Southeast, and 1138 Cass Avenue Southeast. So the update on these particular projects is that the majority of them are under construction and almost to completion. However, at the particular property located at 32 Pleasant Avenue, they ran into some pretty significant overrun costs related to stormwater and other issues that they had to handle on site. So we worked with the development team back and forth to ultimately really determine what was eligible under Act 381, which is what our local Brownfield revolving fund dollars can go towards. And so unfortunately, their original request came in around $50,000, and we can really only support about $5,000 of that. That's work that's included in the right-of-way. So ultimately, given it is a small request, but they are requesting an additional $5,000 to go towards their existing grant agreement. So the total request at this point would be $155,000 instead of the original approval of $150,000. Happy to take any questions on that.
Any questions for Mackenzie? You said it was the stormwater, there was a stormwater issue that triggered this. Is that on-site stormwater management, or was that associated with something going on in the right-of-way, or do you have any background? Both?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. So what we can support is what's happening in the right-of-way, and outside of that is outside of the purview of Act 381. So we worked with them kind of walking through that particular piece of it, and they're very understanding of, what we can cover and what we can't. But they're interested in receiving, whatever support we can provide.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is an activity report for the BRA's Environmental Site Assessment Grant Program for June 2025. Can I have a motion, please?
Support.
All right, Mackenzie.
All righty. We are looking to just provide you an update since the May report last month. And as you can see here, the two highlighted items, one being 307 Martin Luther King Jr. Street. The applicant was previously approved and ultimately received news shortly after our approval that they needed to have an additional phase 2 done on the site, just given the existing results of the phase 1. And so that would be another additional $19,000 anticipated. So we said that we would bring that request back before you. So again, that amount would increase up to $23,000. And then we did have one more application come in for 1554 Kalamazoo, which is anticipating new restaurant space. The scope is still kind of being worked out a little bit there, but anticipating existing restaurant space, maybe take in, take out. So exciting, about 3 new jobs is anticipated for that particular project. And then in addition, they've been quoted for, a phase 1 and a phase 2 alongside due care planning. So again, those requests are notated here in the report, and which that leaves us with about $24,000 left for this fiscal year, which is coming to a really fast close. So happy to take any particular questions that you might have about that, but just wanted to give you an update on the ESA program to date.
Thank you. Thanks, Mackenzie, for the summary. It's great to see that we're using these funds for all these projects in the community. So it seems to be that we're getting close to them in this year. So just want to thank you for all the work on this.
Are both of these properties still in a due diligence phase? Have they gotten land control at this point, or kind of working toward that?
Yes, they both, so the 1554 Kalamazoo, they have a purchase agreement for the site, and then I know that, I believe 307 has a purchase agreement at this point. When we brought it to the meeting last week, they had an option agreement, so I think they have moved through the official phase of having that secured.
So really, a lot of this is just assisting getting to closing, or at least making an informed decision about that.
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our last action item is approval of invoices documenting eligible expenses for Marywood Mother House LLC redevelopment project at 43 Lakeside Drive Northeast. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Support.
All right, Christian.
Good morning, board
Thank you.
members. The next request is for, as our director said, Marywood Mother House LLC for a project at 43 Lakeside Drive Northeast that we can see here on the screen, also known as Academy Manor. Total investment was almost $30 million. The request before you today is for approval of eligible invoice costs in the amount of $2,106,519 and a current payment from this fiscal year, which is almost over, an amount of $76,145.16. This morning we have with us Max Benedict from Third Coast Development. If I could invite Max to come up and speak. I have not yet visited the project, so I cannot elaborate, but Max did provide some pictures here of this beautiful building that now is has 108 total units were rehabilitated, 97 of which are affordable. So I'll let Max take it away.
Yeah, thanks again for your continued support. This has been a great project, a long time in the works. As Christian said, 108 apartments. We're at about 70% occupancy right now. This is historic. affordable, senior, checks a lot of boxes, and we're glad to see that the residents moving in and enjoying it. They've already formed kind of a resident group that we're working actively with the property management to determine what their priorities are, what they want to see next as far as, the community spaces, the additional furniture, and things like that. So it's just been an all-around great project. As far as the eligible expenses go, is a lot of interior demolition and then asbestos abatement, but also it was Eric DeLong's long-term goal to get this connected to the city storm sewer. With them being there for 100 years, there's never a change of use or anything that triggered that. So once we were able to come in, we said, okay, we'll do it, and obviously worked with economic development to get that cost covered, which was a large cost, and we're glad we were able to help with that. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but sent in a bunch of pictures. And yeah, we were able to, maintain most of the floors. With the historic rehab, you're really, limited to what you can do, but it's also, they kind of drive you to think creatively and kind of make it as authentic as you can with the rehab. So we're really happy with how it turned out.
Were there any surprises here?
Oh, tons. There's more surprises than things you could count on. Yeah. There was, double ceilings in a lot of the areas that, we thought, we went in there with the LiDAR and, had what we thought was a pretty comprehensive floor plan and spatial plan, only to find out that there was ceilings below the ceilings that then had, pipes that we had to work around and everything. So from an MEP standpoint, it was a nightmare, just having to work around and nothing, there was no blueprints you could bid off of. This was like, get in there, we need a pipe to go from there to there and figure it out. So very interesting project, to say the least, yeah. Thanks.
Well, congrats on the project. It looks like a beautiful project and nice. It's very nice to see that we're trying to preserve, this beautiful, asset of the community. So, can you remind us when the project started and what is anticipated, end?
Yeah, the project started for us in 2018 when the sisters originally kind of went out for an RFP to say, to find someone that would help them transition from this into their other kind of continued assisted living sites. So we actually came in second place on that. They partnered with wanted to partner with a healthcare system that was going to provide some of those services as an all-encompassing project. But then when that really didn't work out that well, they just said, okay, welcome back, Third Coast. We want you to kind of take it and run with it with your original plan of the senior affordable LIHTC housing. As far as the original Brownfield approval, I think was that 2021 or 22?
22 maybe?
Okay. And then
2022.
And then from there, the planning phase, because for LIHTC and historic, you have to have not to exceed budgets and a whole bunch of things nailed down. And with so many variables on this, it was about a year-long project just to get it to the point where the tax credit investors would be able to sign off on it and say, okay, we're confident that you can do it for this much, and all these third-party studies that approve that and everything. So it was very slow to go, but working with Pioneer Construction, we were able to make up a lot of the time on the build and catch up almost to our original timeline. So, yeah.
When is anticipated? Finish of the project?
So the 108 apartments are finished, and we're about 70% occupied right now.
Okay.
So yeah, we're moving a lot of people in. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And this was also the recipient of a RAP grant.
Yes. Yeah. This
So-
is RAP 2.0, right?
You got me on that, but I'm sure it's a RAP recipient. But I say that because, it's great for us here locally to have our partners at the state, Eagle, MEDC, and others, MISTA, who can help make these projects happen.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll add another award that Max has on this project. It was with the Historical Commission. So we had our awards that was a long time ago now, it was May 20th. But this project received one of the awards, and this is one of the first projects when I came online as a city commissioner that Ruth Kelly, my predecessor, was like, "This, I'm so excited about this. This is amazing." And just leaning over to another past second ward commissioner and just saying, this is such a beautiful space, and it's just a great testament of, there was a lot of time, as you said, a lot of, your question about what was surprising. And I heard these little things all along the way, but I just wanted to share that with this body as well, that the commission recognized the efforts that went into this project as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, there was another project on the same property north of this building. Were you a part of that?
No, so as our agreement with the sisters go, we own the mother house component of it, and then they continue to own the remainder of the campus, including, I believe that's an assisted living just to the north there. It's one of their additional housing units. I think they have kind of a continuation of care process there. So ours is the independent living, we don't have the ancillary services needed, there's no nursing or anything like that. But then as the sisters age, to help with their process, they go through different buildings. I think
There's like a hallway between?
There is a network of tunnels underneath all these buildings too. Yeah, it's an amazing campus. It really is. It's really, really cool. But yeah, our site is just the Marriott, yeah. And then actually, I take that back. There's also the Whistle Stop, which, we did some new, that'd be like to the west, kind of tucked into the woods there a little bit.
Okay.
So that, we did some minor things for them, but they were happy, and they were happy to be able to stay. So we said, I'm glad to have you here, so.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Max. It's a great project. I was curious about Whistle Stop, so I'm glad you mentioned that. And for my fellow commissioners, you mentioned the stormwater project, and so I'm glad that you included that with the proximity to Coldbrook Creek. But this is one of the few locations in Grand Rapids where Coldbrook Creek is exposed, and there's a beautiful St. Francis pathway there for walking that's open to the public. It's just a gorgeous site. When do you anticipate full occupancy? Are you surprised that it's just at 70% right now?
We are a little bit surprised. There's tax credit adjusters that, we were assuming that we would be leased up by now. We started leasing in December. That said, there are, certain requirements, like the 80%, what we've seen in all of our projects that have 80% AMI, is you have, the people that can qualify that don't want to spend that much in rent. They, might prioritize getting more reliable transportation or things like that, to where they will, kind of back down their budget to maybe some naturally occurring affordable housing or things like that. So that has always been our trickiest ones to lease, both here, Diamond Place, and wherever we've tried to do the 80%. So I think it's just something that, as a lot of these projects are coming online with, the new MISHDA program and everything, I can see that kind of being a pinch point for a lot of people that are going in and saying, well, 80% is still good rent, and there's still a lot of potential renters out there, but the appetite for those 80% AMI renters to pay 80% AMI rent is, it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Max, I just, again, thank you. This is a phenomenal project, and it sounds like we should arrange for a tour. Most of us haven't seen this.
Tunnels too.
Yeah, the tunnels would be cool. So I was curious if you pursued federal historic tax credits on this project, and can you talk a little bit about that process, the timing, and I know that can be a pretty lengthy review and approval
Yeah, a lot of that
process.
was handled by our partners at PK Housing, who do the affordable component for us, help with the management and the procurement of the low-income housing tax credits. So we were able to syndicate those side by side with the LIHTC tax credits. So if you're doing just historic, so it's a lot of banging your head against the wall, versus we're already doing LIHTC, and you have to check almost all the same boxes, and then you just have the separate limitations. We worked with Jennifer Metz, and she's just amazing. I mean, she, held our hand, through the whole process, and was able to, just help us every step along the way.
Yeah, I know, this city has a lot of existing buildings, structurally sound, and I know that's a program that's available that can really go a long ways toward, helping out with capital stack, but it takes a lot of prep, and, you've got to go through the state, I think the state office first before you can submit to the feds. And
Yeah, and it might not make, like, so, for example, and love to take you all on a tour, we had to keep the width of the hallways in what was a school section, the west wing of this was a school, so you have these really wide school hallways that aren't rentable.
Right.
Whereas if it wasn't a historic project, we could have built rooms into there, and use that and have rentable square footage at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going just for historic, it's really, you're going to be playing this game against, well, if I can't rent that square footage out, what one's worth more, getting this
Sure.
historic tax credits or being able to rent out more square footage? So, but like I said, because we already had it, going down the tax credit way, we just said, okay, let's just throw in whatever we can to make this a feasible project and make it, as nice as we could.
That's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one additional thought for you here, Mr. Benedict. So with Pioneer being, doing this project for you, I know that their VP, Scott, was introduced to a new sub that is in their vendor base now that could help with, to the extent that you're still trying to meet, WBE, MLBE, MBE goals, that wasn't around when you started this project. And it's a probably some names that you'll know that you can maybe ask Scott about.
I'd appreciate that. We, I saw R&R up there. I love, Rolando's, I'd consider him a friend. He actually built my house, did the mechanicals in the house. With this one, though, kind of getting back to the process of, we had teams of MEP guys that were on it, planning this for a year before they even submitted their first billing. So I think, with the program, we were able to go out there and say, okay, we understand the AIA billing process, and we're willing, for MLBE companies, we're willing to, pay promptly and not require the 60-day wait, but to ask a subcontractor to come with you and help you design for a year prior to even being able to submit one of those pay applications, it's a big ask. So, if anything, it would be, worth exploring a potential incentive, through the city, through, something like that, where you could fund MLBE companies for pre-development or planning expenses that go along with that. And I think if you gave that to Scott Veen, he would say, please, there's probably a lot of people he'd like to bring on instead of, dealing with the companies that are big enough to invest a year's worth of their people's time in order to get the project at the end of the rainbow. So, yeah, no, any subcontractors, we love the mission, and want to get there too. So,
Yeah, I think if you we can talk offline, but if you talk to Scott, this particular company that I'm thinking of is a 30-year-old company and has over 100 employees.
Oh, wow.
And so it's not an MLBE, it would be an MBE.
Okay.
But there are others as well, so yeah, we can chat.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, good discussion. Thank you, Max. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one discussion item, an emerging developer program update.
Hello again. I promise this is the last time you'll hear from me this morning. But I'm excited to provide you all with an update on our emerging developer program. As I'm sure you felt over the last 6-7 months since I've been a part of the team, we have had quite we've been inundated, I think, with interest in the program, and we're really excited to keep pushing that momentum forward. So wanted to provide you just kind of an overview of the program itself, and then also sort of what our office is doing in terms of continuing to get the message out into the community, and, you know, offer you guys support too as you're having conversations and networking as well. So I also wanted to mention that we've had a couple of presentations out into the community, one being the planning department has had 2 different lunch and learns over the last 3 or 4 months. One of them was specific to just the planning, site plan approval process, and then in conjunction with that, we spoke about the emerging developer grant. And then as of recently, as of Monday, I believe, it's been an interesting week already, but on Monday, we actually hosted, here in the chambers, we had Corridor Improvement Authority board members to really just flush out this program alongside several other departments citywide, planning, mobile GR, you know, our staff provided updates as well. So this has been put in front of the appropriate people, I think, and we just want to keep doing that as well. So portions of these presentations really just kind of highlight what that program is, and as you guys are familiar with, through the BRA, we are helping emerging developers as a priority of the LBRF fund. And so this particular program is focused on providing support for those new and emerging developers for those pre-development expenses that are necessary to get to site plan approval for a future project. So I kind of broke out here on the screens, you know, what it can fund and what it cannot fund. You know, I think the big thing, right, is anything that's related to getting to site planning, surveys, architectural services, engineering, environmental site assessments. Those are all eligible activities that can be reimbursed. And then really what we cannot fund with these dollars are anything related to legal fees or market studies, application fees, everything along those lines. And any expenses that's over a year old is ultimately another one that we cannot approve. So we've seen a variety, right? We've seen some projects that have utilized all of the list of things that we can fund for a project. We've seen some projects that have only used a portion of that, but I think it allows each development team a unique opportunity to kind of provide what their need is for the project at the time. And then again, right, I think we are always hoping that these projects will come back for another incentive, whether it's another Brownfield incentive or off to the state. But this is a really great opportunity to kind of lift some of these projects up off the ground on the early stages of development. I also broke out just a little bit around the program eligibility requirements. We really want to see individuals that are applying that align with the emerging developer definition that exists right now in our policy, which is really somebody that has limited experience in the development and redevelopment of real estate space, but also somebody that's supported by a network of individuals that do have experience in real estate development, or an organized program like the emerging developer cohort that is being operated by the Urban League. So again, that's really the big caveat and requirement for this program. And then ultimately kind of providing us with a scope of what their anticipated project is and a scope of work that they're, would like to see potentially reimbursed in terms of those dollars. So we also just provided information on obviously how they can apply. There is no online application that individuals can get on at the meantime, but I think right now the goal is to have the conversation with our staff to really kind of help flush out some of these nuances and really be a support in that capacity. So we're always encouraging individuals to email us and give us a call so that we can schedule a meeting as early as often as they're interested in. So the other piece that I wanted to mention as well is that we are working on a social media campaign with Well Design, and our staff have done a few different videos. I know that Vera and I both were doing videos kind of updating on the CIA work, and then also videos related to the Emerging Developer Program. So hopefully soon we'll see those kind of coming out online that you can share on your networks as well. So we're doing video marketing for that. And then in addition, Well House is also working alongside other applicants and projects that have been approved to date to really kind of do a video highlight and deep dive into their story, the project, how the grant was supportive of the project. And so we're really excited to see some of those come to fruition. I know the team is working diligently to kind of get those up and running. So more to come on that once we have some information to share there. But again, we've just provided obviously all of our information on social media to follow us there and keep apprised of that. I think the other thing that I did want to mention though is just around the number of projects that we have approved to date is 13 of them, which is really exciting. It's about $1.79 million in incentives that have been allocated towards this particular program. So it's one of the goals and values of the LBRF program is for emerging developer specific support. So please continue to share that out in the community and let them know that we're here to help support and have conversations. The other piece too that I wanted to mention just from a report out moving forward is that we would love to bring you all, similar to our environmental site assessment report, really bring a report that shows every single project, kind of where they're located, in what ward, address, development team, kind of what the scope of the project is, what their project was awarded and what for. So I know that I have started that spreadsheet, and of course we're still getting requests as we speak for this particular program, but I do think it would be great to provide an update monthly that shows, hey, this is what we've approved to date. And then at that meeting, if we do have a new application, we would still bring forward the development team to share their story. And I know that that's something that's important to all of you and kind of highlight their work. So we would be planning to do that as well. But happy to take any, suggestions or any questions moving forward on how we kind of report out the program and any updates that we can provide you in a timely manner. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, thank you so much. This is awesome, and reports are always helpful, for us to continue to see what's happening, and understand, the day-to-day, of the team. Just a suggestion as you look at the social media, and work with Well Design. There's a huge opportunity to get into the Latino community. So I know that there are individuals that are looking to develop. There's a lot of real estate, out there, and there are Latinos that are looking at different spaces. So as you think about this campaign, I don't know if you have thought about more targeted, or maybe some of these, can be in Spanish, or bilingual, with closed captions, so the Latino community can understand. Just a suggestion.
No, thank you so much for mentioning that, and I will be certain to mention that to Well Design. I did forget to mention that we did recently, hot off the presses, within the last month or so, we have an emerging developer one-page that highlights everything that we kind of talked about today in our presentation, but we do have a Spanish version as well. So, and we also have that on our website. So we do have the English version and a Spanish version, so keep that in mind too as you're directing individuals to our website, but we'll certainly loop back with Well Design too, just to make sure that from the social media lens of it, we can be supportive there too. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to make a couple of comments here. Just this program is so fantastic. I most recently, last Friday, attended a Home Builders Association event, and I was situated in a manner that I was able to talk to all of the home builders as they came by, with a particular eye toward housing, to tell them about this program, the Emerging Developer Program, including Huga who's on in our packet this week, and I just figured that the more people that we can tell that can do something about housing in particular, that was one reason why I attended this Home Builders Association event. And so hopefully there'll be some activity that comes out of that. And I spoke to someone outside of the area. I had a meeting with West Wind Construction on the 17th, who I think Director Raniero maybe had a meeting subsequent to that. And so I'm just doing my best to trumpet this and get some activity, in particular housing, in front of people. I gave away all of my brochures, so I'll need some more.
Well, thank you. Also, just kind of going off of that too, as you guys are thinking about, individuals and groups that we can get in front of, like I know that, I'm certainly open to be doing that as well, just getting out in front of groups and meetings and having conversations about the program. So keep that in mind and feel free to send my way. I'd be happy to participate in that capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, Director Butler, I appreciate you bringing that up because I do think all of us have those opportunities in our own business circles, and recognizing there's some constraints on staff's time to be in all these places during the week. I think the extent that we can help with that effort would go a long way. So thank you.
I just wanted to add, I was just thinking about something that we did at my day job. A lot of time, I think all the attention, I've seen the lunch and learns, and but if we could, those that are, as you mentioned, the folks, just another reminder, it's those that benefit are kind of the best communicators about this too, assuming they had a good experience, which I'm going to assume that they did. And so maybe there's a way, I think sometimes at the city it is like the corporate communication, so to speak, but where is that individual, just because I think we do small business loans at my day job. Honestly, my best referrals come from other business owners who tell other business owners about our loans. It's not like a bank, it's not other organizations, it's individuals. So I'll just share that.
Absolutely.
I was just texting my colleague. I'm like, is that true still?
Okay, just one more quick thing that I love that we're focusing on emerging developers. Women are also an untapped market for emerging developers. There are very few women in development. So I'm just throwing that out there. So when we're thinking about the marketing piece, to also consider that,
Yeah.
side of it.
Certainly.
To your point, Director Wells, probably a great place to do a lunch and learn or some sort of thing would be at CREW. There's an association, Commercial Real Estate Women is the acronym.
Oh,
And,
great.
they're a very active group in real estate development and all aspects of real estate. And I could probably make an introduction to
Please do.
the past president, who was Ann Faselli.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, good discussion. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is other business. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, I know we have 3 openings on this body. I have talked to Mayor LeGrand as they are mayoral appointments. There was one name that we had last month. He had been traveling, but he has said he's going to approve that person. There was somebody else, but I think he's recruiting them for the Land Bank Authority instead. And then I think I may have another person too. So, and also I'll just note, probably once the board gets past some of these openings, I will also probably, my plan is to step down as well. I think my Mayor Bliss's desire for me to be on this body was during some of the different legislative changes and how she could stay connected to that in her final year. These projects come before us anyways, I don't want to say anyways, at the city, and so I think it'll probably be better to open up a seat for somebody else, and I'll still see these projects at City Commission, so, but I don't want to add another opening, so Chair, I will still stay on.
That's good. Appreciate
Will
that.
that be another commissioner?
No, it hasn't been a commissioner in the past.
I was on as a commissioner.
You were?
That's
Oh.
how I got caught
Oh.
up in all that. Yeah.
I'll follow up.
I just didn't know if that
Yeah.
was.
And Nathaniel Moody.
Yeah. Yeah, Commissioner Moody was too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
And the mayor
I'll
was
follow up.
too.
Because David was thinking he had somebody else, but I'll check the ordinance language and see what it says. Okay. Well, I won't resign just yet.
Yeah.
How about that? That's what I could offer today.
All right. I'm going to hold you to it.
Thank you.
Did you have something else?
Yep. Just one more brief comment. Wanted to issue a public apology to the community, Director Renero, and the board members. I've been tardy in recent months, and due to the nature of the work that my businesses do, it's a physical thing, and it's been a tough week out there, and I can point to the tardiness starting with the advent of the ESTA, law. And so I have a medium-term and long-term fix for that that are in the works because this is important work to me. And so I just wanted to issue an earnest apology and say that I don't want to come across as being disrespectful of anyone's time. So, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right. I guess my only, request would be if there's any recent updates on land bank activity and what we can expect going forward.
Yes, I checked with the clerk's office Friday, and she had 7 applicants making their way through the PIF process, a couple on the board here today. And I've also been seeking skill sets out and sending that PIF as well to folks I think that would be really good for it. So if you have ideas, I'll resend the process to you. And we anticipate the mayor helping obviously make those decisions and informing a board in July or August. So.
Thank you.
Just a reminder that our next city commission meeting is not till July 15th. So we had one scheduled for last week that got canceled. And then the next one won't be till the 15th because of the holiday. So we should have enough time to I know he called me yesterday and about the names that I had and some other names that he was looking at. So thanks.
And what's the target number they're trying to hit?
They need at least 7.
7.
And it was my impression that each ward was nominating a person as well.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, any public comment? All right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.